Okay, Assalamualaikum and good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, Doctor.
All right, very good.
Good evening, Doctor.
Good afternoon. Right, okay.
Yeah.
Right, okay, so thank you for attending the class today. I'm so sorry that I couldn't conduct the class last Wednesday, right? Because we had a conference, the Asset Management Business Solution International Conference that we had on Tuesday and Wednesday. Right, it was the conference was organized by the Center of Real Estate Studies from our faculty. Right, so I was among the committee members. Right, so wasn't able to conduct the class last Wednesday. That's a good thing about having our class online. Okay, right. So when we need to replace the class, it's easier, right? Rather than compared to when we had to have class face to face, right? Trying to find a slot. Okay, when we need to replace the class, it's a bit difficult, right? So online classes are much more flexible. Okay, so that's a good thing about having online classes. Okay, thank you again, right, for sparing your time. Okay, for us to have our first lecture, actually, right? Because last week we haven't started anything yet. Okay, you just submitted your first assignment, phase 1. Okay, I've received it, read it. Okay, quite interesting. Okay. So today I will introduce you to facilities management. Okay, at least the early part, the fundamentals, the concept, right? And one good news is that I found a way to record this session. Okay, right? Because previously I didn't know how to record it. Okay, in Google Meet. Right. So now I found a way to record it. Where is it? Yeah, there you are. Start recording. Okay. Make sure everyone is ready. Okay. Yeah. Start. Is it recording? Yes, it is now. Okay, right. So let's begin then. All right. Let me just share my screen first. Yep. Okay. I'm not sure how this works. Okay, with the recording part. Does it record to your device or my device? Anybody?
I think it's going to Doctor to Google Drive.
My device, not your
Yeah.
device. So
No,
meaning then I will have to upload it somewhere in our group or somewhere, right?
E-learning also can, if not mistake.
All right. Okay. I will try with e-learning. I'm not really keen on using e-learning because, like I said, there's always some stability problems.
Yeah.
Okay? So if it's possible, I will try to upload in e-learning. If not, then the easiest way is to upload it in our WhatsApp group. Okay.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. No problem.
All right. Okay. So let's begin then. Okay. Our first lecture on facilities management, introduction to FM. Right. So basically, the ones I've already uploaded the note in our WhatsApp group. Okay. So this lecture note is basically consists of 3 parts. Okay. The introduction part, and then we will look into FM responsibilities, and the third part will be on FM rules. So it's going to be it's going to take some time, okay, for us to finish this first part. Okay, there's this note, right? It will take somewhere around 3 to 4 weeks, okay, just for this note, right, alone, okay, right? But we'll see. I will try to speed things up, right? Okay, so let's take a look at FM, and let's take a look at the first keyword in facilities management, which is facilities. Right? I like to tackle a new topic by looking at the keywords. Okay, for example, we have facilities management, right? So let's break this into 2 parts. We have the word facilities and we have the word management, right? So there are 2 parts, okay? So let's take a look at the word facilities first, okay? Right, facilities. Now, unlike property management, okay, your friends in property management, right? The term property management Right? In property management, the term property is very simple. It refers to land and building. It's very simple. It's very straightforward, right? Land and the building. So that is considered to be properties, right? Very straightforward, right? Unfortunately, for facilities management, the term facilities tends to be a bit tricky, okay, right? Because, right, if you look at what I've written down there, for example, facilities are the things that make an action, operation, or course of conduct easier. It's an action, right? Operation or course of conduct easier. Now, in other words, right, okay, when you talk about facilities, right, facilities is basically something that supports the core business. Okay? Something that supports the core business. Core business, meaning the main business. Okay, it is very important for you to be able to identify, right, what is the core business of a particular organization. A facilities manager must be very well versed on what is the core business of a particular organization, right? Let's take, for example, McDonald's, right? Okay, what is the core business of McDonald's? Selling fast food. That is the core business of McDonald's. Jual makanan segera, right? Okay. Or let's take University Technology Malaysia. Okay, a university. The core business is higher level of teaching and learning, right? Okay, so that is the core business of a university, right? The other things associated with that particular organization are considered to be the support, or what we call as support services, right? The support. So these support services, right, can be perceived as facilities for the core business, right? Okay. So the term facilities means to support, something that supports the core business, right? Okay, so let's make some brainstorming then, okay? Let's take a restaurant, for example. Now, could anybody please tell me what are the facilities needed for a restaurant? Anyone?
Is it provide foods or
Sorry?
provide foods?
Yeah, whatever restaurant. Doesn't really matter.
Okay.
What are the facilities that you think are needed by a restaurant?
Doctor, can I? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I already say kitchen.
Kitchen. Okay. Fine. Okay, what else?
Doctor, can I understand facilities as kemudahan?
Kemudahan, yes. It's a kemudahan, but it's not just kemudahan alone, just like that, okay?
Oh.
It is associated with the core business of a company.
Okay.
Right? It's like that.
Mm.
Okay, so kitchen, okay, one. What else do you think are considered to be facilities for a restaurant? Anyone else? Anyone? What else for a restaurant?
They write in the chat.
Huh?
They write in the chat.
Oh, in the chat, I can't see it. Because I'm.
Oh, okay. I help doctor to.
Oh, it's okay. Then I'll turn on my other screen. Then it's
Okay.
Okay, I'll turn on my other screen. Hold on. Mm-hmm. Okay. It's the chat, right? No signal. What do you mean no signal? Mm-hmm. There you go. Now I can see both. Okay, so let's go back to the slides. Okay. This is not good. Now I'm seeing the slides. I'm not seeing. How do I? No. How do I do this?
I think display setting in the upper part, the tabs.
Which part?
The show taskbar, display setting, I think can.
Okay. Do swap presenter view and slideshow, is it?
Not sure about this. Oh, okay.
So what are you seeing right now?
The full slideshow.
The full slideshow.
Correctly.
So you see two slideshows. Sorry, the full slideshow, right?
Yeah, the full slideshow.
Okay, so now I can see both. Okay, I can see your chats and I can see the slides. Okay, good. Okay, so what do we have here? All right, some of you said aircon. Okay, fine. We have kitchen. We have, this is for the restaurant, right? So we have the aircon. What else? Waiter, interesting. Okay, fine. Right. What else? Toilet. Okay, what else? Tables and chairs. Counter as well. Okay, just write it down first. Tables and chairs. Right, what else? Stove, oven, cookware, staff manager. Okay, so we have the stove. We have the oven. We have the cookware. We have the staff manager. We have refrigerator. Oh, so many. What else? We have kitchen tools. Okay. We have the dining area. We have the cashier station. Okay, right, quite a lot already. Okay, fine. So as you can see, right, okay, so you listed down so many potential facilities for a restaurant. Okay, now again, what is the core business of a restaurant? A restaurant basically gives us what? What service? Anyone? What's the core business of a restaurant? Selling food and service. All right, selling food. All right, okay, selling food. Okay, so that is the core business of a restaurant. So let us see. Right. Can a restaurant sell food without a kitchen? Nope. Right. A restaurant needs a kitchen. Unless in a restaurant, if the restaurant is the kind of restaurant that doesn't only sell ready food, ready cooked food, right? Meaning they don't need kitchens, right? Unless, okay, but in general, a restaurant would need a kitchen, right? Air conditioning, right? Okay, does a restaurant need air conditioning? Yes. Otherwise, people wouldn't feel comfortable. It's going to be very hot and humid inside. Okay, especially when there are many people, then the heat from the body will start to accumulate, and the environment, the environment inside the restaurant is going to be very humid and hot. So we need air conditioning so that the customers, the people, not just the customers, the workers as well, right, will feel comfortable. Fine. Okay. Waiter. Now, can a restaurant function without waiters or waitress? Can a restaurant function without waiter or waitresses? It depends on the restaurant again, right? Okay, let's say if that restaurant is a self-service one, then perhaps no, right? Okay, but most restaurants, even like McDonald's, right? Okay, they do have waiters and waitresses, right? So can a restaurant function without them? No, right? So we need waiters and waitresses. So they are considered to be facilities as well, right? Okay. So facilities are not just inanimate things. They are not just objects. People, okay, even living things are considered to be facilities as well, right? Okay, it depends on the business, of course, but living things are considered to be facilities as well. Toilets, yes, of course, right? The customers, the workers, right? They need toilets, right? Okay, so toilet is a facility, right? Even though it does not directly relate to the core business, but the people in the restaurant they need toilets, right? Okay, so toilet is considered to be a facility. Table and chairs. Can the customers eat standing up? Right? They can, of course, but to make your restaurant much more comfortable so that your restaurant can compete with other restaurants, then a restaurant usually would need tables and chairs. So tables and chairs are considered to be facilities as well. Stove, yes, you need to cook. Oven, perhaps so, yeah, you need to cook. Cookware, yeah, on what are you going to serve the food, right? You need cookware, right? Staff managers, staff managers, right? Okay. Yeah, who is going to manage the restaurant? You need somebody to manage the restaurant. How can a restaurant run without somebody who manages it, right? So the staff manager is considered to be a facility, right? Okay, refrigerator, yes, you need to store all, the fish, the meat, the chicken and everything, right? The vegetables. You need kitchen tools, yes. You need a dining area for the tables and chairs, right? Okay, you need a cashier station, definitely. People need to pay, right? So you need a cashier station. So as you can see, a restaurant consists of many facilities, and some of them, right, perhaps before today, you didn't even think about them as facilities. For example, the waiters or the staff manager, right? Because you look at them as people. How can people become facilities, right? So now you can see, right, that the term facilities is very broad, right? It's very broad. As long as the facility, right, relates to the core business directly or indirectly, right, then that particular object is considered to be a facility for the core business, right? Right. Okay. Now let's take another one then. A factory. Whatever factory, doesn't really matter, right? Okay, in general, a factory. What are the facilities needed for a factory? Anyone? Machines, right? Machines. What else? What else for a factory? Marketing department. Marketing department. Okay, just write that one down. Marketing department. What else? Staff, workers. Okay. What else? Operators. Fine. What else? Lighting. Yeah. Why not? What else? Anything else? For a factory? No? Vehicle. Okay. Right. Vehicle. All right. I would divide that into two. Right. For one is for logistics. Logistics. Right. And the other one would be things like what? Uh, Forklifts, things like that. Okay. Right. Okay. Fine. What else? Electricity. So let's just put the M&E. Right. Okay. One more. One more. Facilities for a factory. Lounge. Oh, okay, fine, interesting. Lounge. Okay, right, lounge. Okay, right. A factory. A factory's core business is basically manufacturing. They manufacture products, right? Okay, doesn't really matter what product it is, right? Basically, a factory's core business is to produce or to manufacture products. So in order for you to manufacture products, you need machines, definitely. So the machines are considered to be facilities, right, for the factory. Right, now, marketing department. Okay, now, again, the core business of a factory is to manufacture products. Now, could you please tell me right? Can the factory manufacture products without a marketing department? Office. Okay, you add one more. Okay, fine. Office. Right. Okay. Can a factory manufacture products? Let's say what product? A computer, for example. Right. Okay. Computer parts. Let's say a factory specializes in manufacturing the let's say the hard drives. Okay. Right. Can that factory manufacture hard drives without a marketing department? Can anybody tell me? Can they? Can they? Can. All right, can. Okay, let's give another analogy then. Okay, let's say you are, um, uh, let's say you are running your own business. Okay, basically let's say you prepare, or you don't sell, you prepare. Okay, you manufacture. Okay, you manufacture, right? The word manufacture is too big in this case, but let's say you manufacture goreng pisang, but you're not the one who's selling it. Now remember, the factory's core business is not the same as the company's brand. Now, for example, Hewlett Packard, there's a brand, there is a company selling IT products. The factory's core business is to manufacture products manufacture IT products for Hewlett Packard, right? Okay, now let's make a similar analogy, right? But in this case now, somebody is selling goreng pisang, okay? Right, banana fritters, right? But you are the ones who are supplying those banana fritters to that particular seller. So you are the manufacturer in this case. Now, do you need marketing to manufacture or to produce the banana fritters? Some say, Sam said can, or with a question mark. Fang says, I think cannot because we cannot estimate how many we need to produce to the market without the department. Okay. Now, so what do you think? Now, your job here, right? The factory's job here is to produce the goods, right? Somebody else, right, is selling the goods. Do you need a marketing department? As the factory, do you need the marketing department? Huh? No? Yes? No? Yes? Right? Now, if you look at the core business, right, the core business is to manufacture products. They are not selling the products, they are manufacturing the products. So in other words, right, okay, a marketing department function, right, okay, in that factory is not needed. A marketing department is not needed here, right? Because a marketing department would be needed in the company. For example, let's say the company which is selling the products, but the company who is manufacturing the product does not need a marketing department, right? They don't need marketing departments unless, right? For example, Hewlett Packard, which is the main company, right? So they divide it into different subsidiaries, right? We have, for example, the marketing, right? The one selling it, right? Selling the products, right? Okay, and then they have the manufacturing part, right? So in this case, right, Hewlett Packard as a whole, right, would need a facilities manager, and the manager will be in charge, right? Okay, in terms of the facilities, right, would be in charge to manage the facilities here and here, both. So the marketing department becomes part of the FM unit. So they can be considered as facilities, or the more accurate term would be support service for HP, the mother company. right? But if you're talking about a factory alone, right, they don't need a marketing department, right? Usually what happens is the mother company will outsource the manufacturing part to a particular company, right? So that company will manufacture the products for the mother company, right? Let's take, for example, Dyson, for example. Okay, if you have heard the brand Dyson, right? Dyson is a company that produces household products, right? Like vacuum cleaners, things like that. Okay, and Dyson is basically the mother company. They sell the products, right, with their own brand. But, right, the company that manufactures the products for Dyson is Flextronics, right? Flextronics. And Flextronics' function here is just to manufacture the products for Dyson. That's it, right? They don't sell the products themselves. So Flextronics in this case is just some form of contractor, right, for Dyson. So they don't need a marketing department, right? They can, perhaps they would have some form of like a small unit, doing like some form of establishing contacts, with these big mother companies, right? To promote their service, right? Something like that. But very seldom do they have a big department for marketing, right? They don't have that usually, right? Okay. So in this case, right, a marketing department is not considered to be facilities or support service for a factory, but it's going to be a support service or facilities for a mother company like Hewlett Packard or Samsung or whatever, right? Okay, it's going to be one marketing department and it's going to be a support service for that particular company. But for a factory, no, right? Usually no, right? Okay, right. R&D department is needed, right? Okay, it depends again. Now, look at the term R&D. It's research and development, right? It's R&D. So it depends again, right? Okay, you see, the contractor usually just performs the job. They just manufacture the products. The research and development part of that particular product, for example, I would say, is usually being done by the mother company. They do have their own R&D department, right? And what they do is now, after they've do the research, they've done the research, they've developed the product, right, a prototype perhaps, then they will find someone, a factory, right, to produce the products for them. So usually the factory does not, right, have a R&D department unless part of the business of the factory is, for example, let's say Dyson wants to have produce a new product, let's say a vacuum cleaner that is very silent, and Flextronics as a factory do have a few samples themselves that they have developed, meaning they're giving options now. Okay, so in that sense, right, Flextronics as the manufacturer would have their own R&D development, research and development department. Okay, they would have that, right? So it depends on the nature of the business. But if you're talking about a purely manufacturing company alone, right, then usually they don't have it. They don't have an R&D department. Okay, right. Staff then, okay, staff, workers, operations. Yes, definitely, you need them, right? Otherwise, how can the products be produced, right? So you need the staff. Yeah, lighting, definitely, right? You need lights inside the factory, of course. You need vehicles for the logistics, right? And then for the forklifts in the warehouse where you can store all the products, the raw materials and everything, right? So you need vehicles, definitely. So they are considered to be facilities as well. M&E, definitely, right? You need an office. Yes, of course, you need the management office, right? They are the ones, the HR departments, well, the facilities management department, right? So you need an office, definitely, right? Lounge, yeah, right. Okay, people need to rest, right? Yeah, and of course it includes the others, cafeterias, right? Canteens and things like that. Uh, Prayers room. Uh, Again, you have toilets and everything. Okay, but if you look carefully at your response, when we discussed restaurants, right? Okay, your response on facilities are more towards space. You mentioned kitchens, you mentioned dining areas, you mentioned toilets, right? Spaces, right? You mentioned mostly spaces. Of course, you did mention, the machines, the tools, and everything, but quite a lot of you mentioned about spaces. But suddenly, when we discuss factory, your response are mostly things like machines, M&E, lighting, vehicles. You're talking about objects, right? Okay, so what you can see here, right? Facilities can come in the form of space. It can come in the form of things, right? Okay, and it can come in the form of people, right? It can come in the form of people. So space, things, tools, and then people, right? Okay, right. Okay, so now let's take a look at another one. Zoo. Now, what are the facilities needed for a zoo? Anyone? Zookeeper. Okay, fine. You need a zookeeper. What else? Cage. What else? Fence. Okay. What else? Store. To store the food for the animals, I presume, right? Ah, the animals. Okay. What else? Maintenance staff. Okay. What else? Ventilation system. Okay. What else? What else? Oh, you need a vet. Okay. You need a vet. What else? I assume that is going to be like an in-house vet, right? Again, not an outsourced one, an in-house vet, I believe. Okay. Right. One more. Facilities for zoo. Yep. One more. Come on. Just one more. Ticket office. All right. Ticket office. Ticket office. Or perhaps a counter, right? Supplement. Ah, okay. Supplement, meaning in the form of food, right? Okay. Food, supplementary food, vitamins and things like that, right? Okay, right. So let's take a look. Okay, a zoo. What is the core business of a zoo, by the way? Anyone? What is the core business of a zoo? The core business of a zoo. Huh, huh. The core business. Come on, anybody? Core business for a zoo? Core business for a zoo. Selling ticket for visiting. No. Tourism service. Nope. Almost, but nope. To promote caring and preservation of animals. Nope. What is the core business of a zoo? To earn money. Yeah, definitely they want to earn money, but what do they do to earn money? What service do they provide? Zoos. What service do they provide? Entertainment. Almost informative about animals. Yeah, they do provide information about animals, right? But that is not their core business. Conservation, no, that's not the core business of a zoo. They do not conserve, right? In fact, basically, some people say the zoos are doing bad things. They are not helping, right? Uh, Animal performance. Nah, not all animals can perform. Educate the public, entertainment and educate, research. Go on, keep on coming. Keep on coming. What service does a zoo provide? The main service, the core business is the main business, the main service. Entertainment and educate. How do you sum that up? Okay, I'll give you a clue. I'll give you a hint. The core business of a zoo is actually the same, but in a different form, right? But it is the same as, let's say, Sunway Lagoon. Hmm. Leisure, okay? Or get a more accurate term. Or perhaps if you've been to a what we call now we have what we call as urban forest, right? Okay, hutan bandar. That is the same core business as a zoo. What is it? Tourism, no. Yes, recreation, right? Recreation. That's the core business of a zoo. Recreation, right? Recreation, but in a passive form, right? Some recreational business are they are more active, right? Active forms like the ones, for example, like Sunway Lagoon, right? But for a zoo, right, it's considered to be a passive recreation, right? Passive recreation. But of course, the form is different, right? Sunway Lagoon is where people go to, play with, water parks. It's a water park, right? So people play around, play with water, swimming, perhaps, things like that. So a zoo is a recreational business, okay, uh, that people go to, right, to get the service of visiting animals, knowing about animals, and learning at the same time about animals, right? Okay, so that is the core business of a zoo. It's recreation, right? Okay, so for a recreational business, right, in the context of a zoo, right? Okay, of course you're going to need, right, a zookeeper. Or in other words, let's just sum it up. You need workers, right? You need workers, right? So the zookeepers, right? The maintenance staff, right? They are all workers, right? So they are considered to be facilities. Cage, right? Okay, and some animals are put in cages, some are put in aquariums, right? Some are put in an area, in a big area, an open area with fences, right? So yes, we need them. They are considered to be facilities, right? Yeah, you need a place to store the food for the animals. Okay, definitely, right? Okay, so perhaps it also includes a cool room, right, where you can store meat and everything. Yeah, fine. Okay, for the tigers. So stores, right, definitely. The animals, of course. How can a zoo function without animals? Right? That is the most important facility for the zoo. That is the most important aspect, the most important facilities for the core business of a zoo. Without the animals, the business of a zoo, right, is going to collapse, right? Okay. Um, Something's wrong with my monitor. Hold on. Yeah. Okay. Oops. Hey, come on. What's going on? Okay. Hold on. Something's wrong with my monitor. Where are you? Go back there. Right. Okay. Oh, okay. Right. Okay. Right. So the animals are very important. Okay. Now it's the same as, for example, Dutch lady. Oh no, what's going on here? Okay, Dutch lady. Right. Okay. Let's take Dutch lady. Now, the core business of Dutch Lady, this is the company, by the way, right? Dutch Lady, the core business of Dutch Lady is to produce dairy products, milk, I don't know, basically milk, right? Okay, milk, right? Okay, so if of course it's not recreational, right? Okay, different from a zoo, but one of the most important aspects, right, for Dutch Lady, one of the most important facilities for Dutch Lady would be the cows. The cows are the ones that are producing the milk, right? So the cows are considered to be the most important facilities for Dutch Lady, right? And if you look at Dutch Lady, okay, the HQ is in the mother company. The Dutch Lady basically is a company from the Netherlands originally, right? So they have their own FM unit, right? Their own facilities management unit, and the most important job of the facilities manager in Dutch Lady is to make sure that the cows are happy. Because happy cows produce more milk, they produce high quality milk. So to make cows happy, right, the cows need to be healthy. So in order for the cows to be healthy, right, they need what? They need proper cow sheds. The cow sheds where they keep the cows, right, must be in such a way that makes the cow happy, healthy, comfortable, so that they can produce high quality milk, right? More milk, right? So the cows are considered to be facilities for Dutch Lady. The same goes for a zoo. The animals are considered to be the most important facilities for the zoo. Why? Now just imagine a zoo with animals, but the animals are not happy. The animals are not healthy, in poor condition, they sleep all the time, right? So when you go as visitors, when you go right to the zoo, right, you pay, I don't know how much, Zoo Negara will charge you somewhere around 50 ringgit, right? You go there, and what you see is basically sleeping animals that are not active, skinny, right, not attractive. Now, would people go to the zoo if the animals are not happy, not healthy, Definitely people wouldn't go, right? So that would affect the core business. That would affect the business of the zoo. People are not coming anymore, right? Because now it's waste my time, waste my money, right? Why do I need to go to a zoo where the animals are just sleeping around, right? So that's why the animals are very important. They are important facilities, and we need to take care of them because they are not just they are basically facilities that support the core business when they are able to be active and happy and healthy and all, right? So it's a different kind of facility, right? The business depends on them, right? And we need to take care of them, right? So yeah, animals are facilities for a zoo, right? You need to take care of them. And of course, you need a vet. Usually, a good zoo will have their own in-house vet. Usually, right? They will have their own in-house vet. If not, then they would outsource it. Okay, they would outsource the vet service, right, to a private veterinarian. Okay, they would outsource it. But a good zoo usually, for example, like Singapore Zoo, which is the best in the world, by the way, right? The #1 zoo in the world is Singapore Zoo, right? They have their own FM unit, okay, right? So usually for a zoo like that, okay, they have their own vet unit, okay, they have their own FM unit, and under the FM unit they have their own vets, right, to take care of the animals. Okay, all right. Hold on. Right. Okay. So vet. So the vet unit is basically a support service, right? A facility for the core business, right? Because they need to take care of the animals. A ventilation system, yeah, I believe this one is for, any indoor, when the animals are put in indoors, in cage, indoor cage or something like that, so that you are able to extract the air so that it wouldn't be stuffy and smelly, right? Yeah, those are considered to be facilities as well, right? So that is a facility for zoos, right? Okay. Now let's take the last one. This one you should be very familiar, right? A university. What are the facilities for a university? Anyone? Lecture hall, right? Okay, the lecture hall. What else? Lecturers' library, okay, library. Lecturers. What else? Departments, okay, that is a bit vague. What do you mean by departments? Cafe, dorm, student hall, stadium, okay. What else? Swimming pool. What else? Parking lots, labs, okay. All right. Okay. 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 Right. Okay. Okay. Now let's take a look at what you've listed down here. A university. What is the core business of a university? The core business of a university? Anyone? Provide education. All right. Provide education. Higher education, by the way. Right. So that we can differentiate it with schools, right? Okay, so provide higher education. So the provision of higher education is through teaching and learning. That's #1, TNL, and then research. That's another one. Right, there are two categories, right? Okay, teaching and learning and research, right? Okay, as we know, right, especially for like you guys, okay, you fall under the teaching and learning, right? The postgraduate students, right, they fall they can be divided into two categories. Okay, some of them they follow their programs, okay, through top course programs, right? Masters, top course, right? So that will be under teaching and learning. And there are postgraduate students who follow what we call as a research program. They do their masters and PhDs by doing research only, right? Okay, so the provision of higher education is through teaching and learning and research, right? Okay, so what do we need? A lecture hall? Yeah, definitely, right? You need lecture halls. How can you have lectures without lecture halls, right? Okay, you need libraries, right? Okay, a library is where you get your references, books, right? Just, yeah, fine. Okay, and then lecturers. Yeah, all right. Okay, of course, you need lecturers. How come a university does, how can a university function without lecturers? Okay, fine. Okay. I'm not sure about this department. Okay, I'm not sure about this. Okay, right. That is a bit vague, right? Cafes, yeah, people need to eat and drink. definitely. Dorms for the students, right? Okay, labs, yep, okay, for those programs that require labs, fine. Yeah, parking lots, people need to park their vehicles, right? Okay, sure. Swimming pool and stadium, yeah, that falls under perhaps like sports facilities, right? Okay, sports facilities, right? Fine, okay, and then student halls, yeah, right. So these are among the facilities required by a university, okay. But please differentiate, okay. For example, let's take a library, okay, or a dorm, okay. Now, if you're referring to the building, the physical building, right, a library, the library building, that is basically the physical facility, the object, right? That is the physical facility, right? But the library itself, okay, requires management, right? We need the library to function, right? So inside the library itself, right, there are people working the management of the library. They get the references, they organize the references, provide services and whatnot, right? So the library itself, the library building is the physical facility, but the library itself, right, the library service itself is what we call as a support service. Right? The support service basically manages, they don't manage basically, but they take care of the library, right? Okay, inside the library, right? But the library service itself is considered to be the core, the support service for the core business of the university, which is provision of higher education, right? So you need to differentiate between support service and the physical facility, right? The physical facility is the thing that you can see, and the support service is basically the service that is required by the core business. Otherwise, the core business wouldn't be able to, to run, right, smoothly, right? So two things, support service and the physical facility. Now, FM is basically, right, the ones taking care of these things. So the support service falls under FM, or in other words, FM is actually a support service for the core business, right? Facilities management is a support service for the core business. Let's take a dorm, hostel. If you're talking about the hostel building, that is the physical facility. Of course, the FM will need to take care of the physical facility, which is the hostel building, right? But the hostel buildings, right, needs to be managed, right? So usually, what we have the hostel management unit, right? Hostel management, the ones who will take care of the hostel, they provide the furniture and everything. So the hostel management unit is a support service for the core business. In other words, the hostel management unit is actually part of the FM team. For example, in UTM, the FM for UTM is Pejabat Harta Bina. That is the FM unit for, or the FM department for UTM. Right? And we also have the ones that manage the hostels, right? So the hostel management units basically falls under Pejabat Harta Bina. So in other words, hostel management is part of the FM job scope of Pejabat Harta Bina, right? Okay, right. Okay, so far so good. Anybody? Everyone? So far so good. Any questions up till now? No? Anything which is not clear? You need to understand this basic concept first, right? Facilities, the physical facilities, and the support service, right? Okay. Right, okay. So now let's move on. Now you clear, doctor. Okay, good. Okay. Now, so you are clear with the term facilities. Now let's look at the next word, which is management. Right? Remember, we have facilities and we have management. Right? So now let's take a look at management. Okay? So the term management, right, has been used, right, widely, right? Okay, management, we need management, right? We need to manage, right? Okay. But what is actually the meaning of the word management, right? Okay. So basically, right, management is about the 5 basic principles of management. 5 basic principles of management. The first one, you have planning. Second, organizing. The third one is leading. The fourth one is controlling. And the fifth one is staffing. Right? It doesn't really matter how you look at it. Right? It doesn't matter what is the word in front. Facilities management, project management, construction management, human resource management, property management, asset management, design management, landscape management, IT management, technology management, right? Doesn't really matter. Event management, right? As long as there is the word management, you are actually doing 5 things. You plan, you organize, you lead, you control, and you staff. Get people, to do the job. And you need the right people for the right job. So it doesn't really matter how you look at it, right? Management is all about planning, organizing, leading, controlling, and staffing. Right? Okay, you need to plan, right? You need to plan. In management, you need to plan. That's number one. What do you plan? Right? There will be long-term planning, there will be short-term planning, right? In certain situations, you require a big master planning, right? And to achieve certain goals, right, you need strategic planning, right? And what do you plan? Right? You plan the resources, you plan the financial planning, right? Resource planning, right? You plan, for example, let's say if it's a project, right? Then you plan, the process basically, right? That's going to take place in the particular project, right? Everything you need to plan for everything, right? So that is the number one, the most important aspect of management, which is planning, right? You need to plan, right? Okay. And the next step is to execute the plan, right? So to execute the plan, you need to organize now, right? You need to organize. We need proper organization, right? Right? Make sure that everything falls in place. Make sure that whatever plans that you've planned, right, will be able to be executed, right, successfully, right? So you need to organize. Sometimes the plan is good, but the execution is bad, so it's not going to work, right? So you need to organize. And thirdly, you need to lead the team. You need to lead the team so that your plan, right, whatever that you've planned and whatever that you've executed will be successful. You need to have a good leader, right? Okay, but not all managers are leaders, by the way. You have to remember, right? Not all managers are leaders. Leaders are mostly based on the character, okay, of the one who is leading the team, right? So even though you are the number one manager, right, it doesn't mean that you can become a good leader. So not all managers are leaders, right? But usually a good leader would be able to manage, right? Okay, but not all managers are leaders, right? Okay, but leading is the number 3 principle in management, okay? And controlling. This is one aspect of management that is usually overlooked. This one. Usually overlooked. People tend to it's not that they are not aware of the importance of controlling in management. Somehow they just um, they just shut their eyes, towards it, right? Controlling is where you control the quality of whatever that you're doing, right? Okay, the service that you provide or the product that you produce, right? It doesn't matter what, it depends on the core business, right? But controlling is basically about the quality. So in order for you to produce, deliver, right, good quality products or good quality service, then you need to make sure that you have good performance management, right? And in order for you to have good performance management, the most important thing is for you to measure performance, right? We need to measure performance. And this is usually done, right, regularly by the human resource department. They are very, very diligent, right? Okay, the human resource department, they are very diligent when it comes to measuring the performance of the staff, which is why usually at the end of the year, right, the employees, right, will usually have to fill up a form, right, a KPI form, so that the human resource department can actually see who is doing well, who is not doing well, who should be promoted, who should not be promoted, and things like that. Okay, so that one is clear, right? That's one part which is clear, right? Okay, performance measurement is usually being carried out by the human resource department. But what about the other things? For example, the quality of the service, right? The quality of the facilities, for example, right? Let's take UTM, right? Let's take UTM, right? Okay. Now you're talking about buildings, you're talking about lecture rooms, you're talking about so many things, facilities, right? Okay. So, hold on. Hello. Yeah, check out. Okay, could you please call me later because I'm currently having a class. Okay. Okay, right. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so let's take UTM, right? Okay, so UTM, there are so many facilities in UTM, right? So what about the quality of the facilities? Who's taking care of that, right? And how do we know, okay, how do we know that the facilities are performing well? So you need to measure the performance. So in other words, right, okay, it's not just about measuring the performance of the workers, which is being done, again, very diligently by the Human Resource Department. They like to do that, right? But what about the other things, right? The facilities, right? Okay, so we tend to ignore that part, right? Okay, we tend to ignore that part. We in the construction industry, right? We tend to be a bit, not to say a bit, we lag basically when it comes to performance management of the products that we produce, the facilities, the buildings. We are not like those who are in the manufacturing industry, right? Okay, they measure the performance of their product, right, all the time, which is why you can see, let's take, for example, a toothpaste or a shampoo, right? They produce one shampoo this year, next year, they produce another shampoo, which is better than the first one, right? Improved formula, right? Why? Because they always measure the performance of their product and compare it to the other products produced by other manufacturing companies. Why? Why do they do that often? Because in their industry, right, if people are not happy with their product, people can simply just, well, buy another product. Easy, right? But in the construction industry, it's not that simple. You let's say, for example, you buy a house. The house is developed by a developer, right? Okay, with the architects, the QS, the engineers, and everybody in the team, right? So you buy a house, and you move in, and suddenly you find that, oh God, this house is lousy, right? It's terrible. Okay, there are leaks everywhere, right? What else? It's too small. It's hot, right? So many cracks, the workmanship is not good, right? So what do? You buy another house. It's not that easy, right? You don't buy another house. You have to cope with it, right? You have to cope with it, right? The house perhaps faces sunrise and sunset. So meaning the house is hot, right? Every single day is hot. What do? Buy another house? I'm not going to buy from that developer anymore. I'm going to buy a new house now. Are you going to do that? No. What do? Do some renovations perhaps, right? Which is why those who are involved in the construction industry tend to learn from their mistakes very, very, very slowly. Developers, contractors, architects, right? These people, right, okay, who are involved in construction, they tend to learn very slowly, right, from their mistakes. Why? Because again, even though we've made mistakes, so many mistakes in our work, in our design, in our construction, it does not really matter, right? What can people do? Of course, you have that 2-year DLP, right? Defect liability period. But come on. Sometimes the problem does not even surface within that first 2 years. A house, right, costs you somewhere hundreds of thousands, and it should last more than just 2 years, right? If you have a house, after 2 years, and the wall starts to crack, then my goodness, you've just spent hundreds of thousands. But people don't care. Those professionals, right, in the industry don't care, right? So that's why they tend to overlook the controlling part, right? They don't really care about that, okay? Right? I can talk days about this, okay? Performance, the problem with our construction industry when it comes to performance management, right? And you will know about it when you go to work outside, right? Then you will start to discover these things, right? So performance management, okay, is very important. That is part of the controlling, okay, aspect of management, okay. And the fifth one will be staffing. Okay, this one. Where's my cursor? There you are. Right, staffing. You need the right people for the right job, right? You need the right people for the right job. Okay, so in management, right, it is your responsibility, right, as a management, as a manager, right, to get these right people, right, for for the right job, right? Okay, so staffing is the fifth aspect of management, right? So remember, when you talk about management, right, you're talking about planning, organizing, leading, controlling, and staffing, right? Five basic principles of management. Remember that, okay? Remember, always remember that, right? And as long as you are faced with a problem that relates to management, then just go back to the 5 basic principles of management, right? Okay. You wouldn't go wrong if you hold firmly on these 5 basic principles. Okay. Right. So now I have a video to show you. Okay, I use lots of videos actually in my class, right? Of which I will upload the videos in our WhatsApp group as well. Okay, so I have a video on management, but I need to change I need my speakers first. I need to change my headphones to my speakers. Hold on. Okay. Right. Let's just. Yep.
Management involves far more than just telling others
Can you
what
hear
to
it?
do. Before any of you decide that you think you can
Yes,
do
Dr.
your
Yes.
boss's
Okay,
job,
good.
let's take a look more into what a manager does. The major functions that a manager completes can be categorized into 4 different functions known as planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. For some of us, we only see the final 2, leading and controlling. But you should know that for every managerial behavior you do see, there is an equal amount that you do not. Behind the manager's closed door, they spend a good deal of their time planning and organizing so that they can effectively carry out the functions of leading and controlling. Now, before you think your boss is different, you should know that the 4 functions of management are standard across industries, whether that be in a manufacturing plant, a home office, a grocery store, a retail store, a restaurant, a hotel, or even an amusement park. Effective managers understand how planning, organizing, leading, and controlling are used to achieve organizational success. Unfortunately, I do not have a rebuttal for those of you who have ineffective managers, but perhaps learning a little bit more about the 4 functions of management will help to identify what steps your ineffective manager needs to take to become an effective one. Try to think of the 4 functions as a process where each step builds on each other. Managers must first plan, then organize according to that plan, lead others to work towards the plan, and finally, evaluate the effectiveness of the plan. These 4 functions must be performed properly, and when done well, become the reason for organizational success. The first of managerial functions is planning. In this step, the manager will create a detailed action plan aimed at some organizational goal. For example, let's say Melissa, the marketing manager, has a goal of increasing sales during the month of February. Melissa needs to first spend time mapping out the necessary steps she and her team of sales representatives must take so that they can increase sales numbers. These steps might include things like increasing advertisements in a particular region, placing some items on sale, increasing the amount of required customer to sales rep contact, or contacting prior customers to see if they're interested in purchasing additional products. The steps are then organized into a logical pattern so that Melissa and her team can follow it. Planning is an ongoing step and can be highly specialized based on organizational goals, division goals, departmental goals, and team goals. It is up to the manager to recognize what goals need to be planned within their individual area. The second of the managerial functions is organizing. This step requires Melissa to determine how she will distribute resources and organize her employees according to the plan. Melissa will need to identify different roles and ensure that she assigns the right amount of employees to carry out her plan. She will also need to delegate authority, assign work, and provide direction so that her team of sales representatives can work towards higher sales numbers without having barriers in their way. The third function of management is leading. In this step, Melissa spends time connecting with her employees on an interpersonal level. This goes beyond simply managing tasks. Rather, it involves communicating, motivating, inspiring, and encouraging employees towards a higher level of productivity. Not all managers are leaders. An employee will follow the directions of a manager for how to perform a job because they have to, but an employee will voluntarily follow the directions of a leader because they believe in who they are as a person, what they stand for, and for the manner in which they are inspired by the leader. Controlling is the final function of management. Once the plan has been carried out, evaluate the results against the goals. If a goal is not being met, the manager must also take any necessary corrective actions to continue to work towards that goal. For example, if Melissa noticed that her team was behind in their sales halfway through February, she will need to put in place the necessary provisions to ensure that the second half of February is twice as productive as the first half, so that by the end of the month, the original sales goal will be met or exceeded. Because the control process also includes setting performance standards for employees and continuously evaluating their job performance, Melissa will speak with each of her sales reps individually to review their performance. Some have added a fifth function for managers known as staffing. Staffing is the task of evaluating, recruiting, selecting, training, and placing appropriate individuals into defined job roles. A manager must spend time evaluating their workforce needs, discovering where employees need to be added, trained, or removed, and then make those changes so that the organization can continue business as usual. Let's review. There are 4 functions of management that span across all industries. They include planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. You should think about the 4 functions as a process where each step builds on each other. Managers must first plan, then organize according to that plan, lead others to work towards the plan, and finally, evaluate the effectiveness of the plan. Planning is the first step, whereby a manager will create a detailed action plan aimed at some organizational goal. Organizing is the second step, which involves the manager determining how to distribute resources and arrange employees according to the plan. Leading is the third step that is accomplished by communicating, motivating, inspiring, and encouraging employees towards a higher level of productivity. Controlling is the final function of the management, where a manager will, once a plan has been carried out, evaluate the results against the goals. If a goal is not being met, the manager must also take any necessary corrective action needed to continue to work towards that goal. Some have added a 5th function for managers known as staffing. Staffing is the task of evaluating, recruiting, selecting, training, and placing appropriate individuals into defined job roles.
Right. Okay. So that's the video on management. Let me just switch back to my headphones. Hold on. Okay. Right. Can you hear me?
Yes, okay, yes.
Okay, good. Right. Okay. So that's a video about management. Okay. So basically, it's sums up of about what I've explained. Okay, about management. Right. Okay. So, oh no, hold on. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Hold on. Is it this one? No, not the one. Yeah. Oh, okay, right. Okay. You see the slides, right?
Yeah, the full slide. Yeah.
Okay, full slide. Okay, good. Okay, so now in any management, okay, right, in any management, right, there are 3 levels of management. Okay, so what we call as management hierarchy, right? We have the where's my there you are. Okay. Done. Pen. Oh, okay, no wonder. Hold on. Okay, sorry about that. Okay. So in any management, there are 3 levels. We have the strategic level, right? This one. We have the tactical level, and we have the operational level. Right now, the strategic level is where basically the top management will come out with their strategies on how for the company to move forward, right? For the company to expand, or perhaps the company needs to shrink, whatever, right? So that is the strategic level. This is where the top management, okay, would sit. Okay. And then we have the tactical level. The tactical level is basically the level, it's a bridge, basically, right? This is where we translate, right, the strategy into workable solutions, right? Okay. So basically, in order to translate, right, in order to translate the strategy so that it can be executed at the operational level, we need to perform a few management functions, right, in the tactical level, okay, right? So we have the strategic level, we have the tactical level, and then we have the operation level, or should I say this is the level where we implement, right? We execute, right? Okay, whatever strategy that has been brought forward, okay? Now, in the context of facilities management, right? Now, FM itself sits at the strategic level, right? Now, in any company, in any organization, there would be 4, what we call as strategic resources, right? Now, this is not in the note, okay? Right? So you may want to write it down, right? There are 4 strategic resources in a company. Number 1, it's capital, right? Or the financial resources, right? The capital. Number 2, labor, right? The workforce, right? That is the second strategic resource. The third one will be, well, knowledge or skill, right? Knowledge or skill, right? And the fourth one, which is usually, again, overlooked, is facilities, right? So there are 4 strategic resources in a company, in any organization, right? There are 4 strategic resources: capital, labor, knowledge and skills, and facilities, right? Okay, which is why, right? Because facilities is where the business resides. The business takes place within the facility, right? And the facilities are required to support the core business of the particular organization. So, which is why facilities management, right, the party responsible for managing the facilities, needs to be at the strategic level of the organization. Otherwise, okay, the problem will be there will be no communication between the top management and the facilities management team, right? That will cause lots of problems, right? Let's take, for example, right, if the top management, right, makes a decision, makes a strategic decision without, okay, discussing it first with the FM department, for example, what would happen is they will draw up strategies blindly, meaning they don't know whether the facilities that they have are able to support whatever strategy that they have drawn out. Let's take UTM, right? Let's take UTM. Now, UTM, do you remember what is that 3 keywords in the tagline of UTM? Global, innovative, and entrepreneurial, right? Okay, so UTM, the UTM wants to become a global university, meaning it's a world-class university, an innovative university, and an entrepreneurial university. Let's take the first word, world-class, right? It's global or world-class, right? So if UTM wants to be a world-class university, right, apart from having world-class programs, world-class curriculum, world-class co-curriculum, world-class staff, world-class lecturers, right, they need also world-class facilities, right? Right? In order for you to become a world-class university, you need world-class facilities, right? Now, based on your experience, I'm not sure how experienced you are with our campus. Since you've not been there for quite a while now, okay? I'm not sure. Perhaps some of you have not even gone to the campus. Have you been to the campus before, all of you? For lectures, I mean? Or did you just start out with online class?
Yes, doctor. We went to the campus.
For a short time, is it?
Yeah, I think so. 1 year.
Okay, right. So based on your experience, okay, for 1 semester, okay. So based on your experience, does UTM have world-class facilities? Yes or no? Yes? No? Just type it down. Yes. Who says no? Who says no? Who says UTM does not have world-class facilities? Or you are not sure of what is considered to be a world-class university, world-class facilities? Okay, let me give you one very tiny example, but should reflect the whole thing. Okay, you've been into our, say, our lecture hall or lecture room, right? Okay, look at the chairs. Look at the chairs that you sit down, right, in class, right? Okay, look at the chairs. Are they world-class chairs for you to follow a 2 or 3 hour lecture? Does the chair support your back, your weight, your thighs? Do you feel comfortable sitting on the chair for 2 or 3 hours perhaps? Some lecture rooms, right, okay, like the ones that we have in the well, you've never been there before perhaps, the lecture rooms in the original FGHD, right? Okay, the Faculty of J Information, right? Okay, in our lecture rooms, right, instead of having chairs suitable for lectures, right, the students sit on banquet chairs, chairs which were designed for dining, for eating. And they have to sit there for, to follow a lecture through 2 or 3 hours, right? Sitting on banquet chairs. And banquet chairs do not support your back. They do not support your hip. They do not support your spine. They don't support your weight. They don't support your thighs. Which is why after a few hours, 2 hours, right, then the students tend to become uncomfortable, right? They start to fidget a lot. Okay, they become restless, right? Because that chair is not designed, for people to follow a lecture. It's designed for people to eat. And we sit on a banquet table to eat for how long? Usually for the most, like what? 1 hour? That's the most. 45 minutes, right? But not for following a lecture, right? So by looking at that, okay, in terms of chairs, right, UTM has already failed to provide world-class facilities, right? But they claim to be a world-class university, or at least they want to be a world-class university. Look at your lecture hall, right? Let's take, I don't know, Dewan Kuliah, what? Dewan Kuliah C, Dewan Kuliah D, the one near, the one at the ground floor. Can't remember what's the name of that Dewan Kuliah, right? But the ones at the ground floor, nearest to the library, right? Okay, Dewan Kuliah C or D, I can't remember, right? Look at that Dewan Kuliah, right? Does that look like a world-class Dewan Kuliah? There's no place, because you see, you already have the screen, right, pulled down, right, because the lecturer needs to use the projector. So you already have the screen pulled down. So now there's no place for the lecturer to write. There's no whiteboard. So what they do is they just put an additional whiteboard there, right? But they can't fit it in. So the whiteboard cannot be straight. The whiteboard cannot face the students. The whiteboard needs to be a bit, tilted, right? And it's difficult to move. So is that the characteristic of a world-class Dewan Kuliah? Right, okay. So basically, right, if you strive to be a world-class university, right, you need to have world-class facilities. Now, the problem is Pejabat Harta Bina, which is the facilities or the equivalent to the facilities management unit for UTM, right? Okay, it's not part of the top management team in UTM. The top management team in UTM just sit down together, the ahli lembaga pengarah or whatever, right? They just sit down together and, all right, okay, they call a few lecturers, right, and draw up a strategic plan. And that's it. But the strategy that they draw up, right, doesn't mean that, they have the strategy, but doesn't mean that they can actually make it work. Why? Because Well, they fail to see, or they fail to see the importance of the role of pejabat head pembina. Pejabat head pembina should be able to tell them, right, well, our facilities are not ready. We need to strategize our facilities, right? We need to upgrade our facilities, right? But they are not involved, right, in top management decisions. All they know is, okay, we draw up the strategies, pejabat pembina try to make it work. That's it. So the strategy that they draw up usually are not realistic, in other words. So meaning there is no direct communication between the strategic level and the operational level. Now, the only party here which is involved in all three levels is the FM department, the FM unit. The FM should sit here, and they also sit here, and they sit here as well. Which is why you need FM at the strategic level so that they can communicate the strategy and execute and implement the strategy both at the tactical and the operational level. So that is a problem that we have. In most organizations, the FM departments are only seen as the party which runs or carry out maintenance work. That's all. So once you perceive FM as only carrying out maintenance work, then you start to have problems, right? Whatever strategy that you draw up, whatever that you do, the top management decides it's not going to work, or you're going to have difficulty making it work, right? Because one of your 4 strategic resources, the facilities, was not considered in decision making when you draw up the strategy. The facilities are not considered. Okay, so that's a problem, right? Okay, so this is very important, right? It's very important, okay? Because as you learn, okay, about FM, you will see that in most organizations, right, especially here in Malaysia, right, FM equals maintenance, which is wrong, by the way, right? Which is wrong, right? If you go to developed countries like in the US, in the UK, in Australia, right, most of the organizations there, the big organizations, right, the big organizations, right, the FM department is part of the strategic level of the company, the top management, right? But here in Malaysia, FM is seen as only functioning at the operational level here. So that causes a lot of problems, okay? Now, what about the tactical level? I'm sure that you are clear about the operational level. This is where we execute our strategy, right? By doing maintenance, right? We carry out performance measurement, right? All those things. But what about this? What about the tactical level? Now, in order for the strategy, right, to be implemented, right, to be translated and implemented at the operational level, we have to consider a few things. We have to consider quality. We have to consider risks. We have to consider value, right? Okay. And we have to consider about finance, even though here capital is part of it, but this is where we run financial management, value management, risk management, and quality management, right? We have to think about this so that in order to translate the strategy into a workable solution at the operational level, we have already considered the quality, we control the quality, we already considered the quality, right? We've already considered the risk, we've already considered the value and the financial aspects. How are we going to manage quality? Quality is about process. Quality management is all about process. So how are we going to ensure quality of the service? The service is provided here at the operational level. But how are we going to make sure that the service being provided, or let's say if you're producing a product, the product that is going to be produced is produced in a quality way. So that is determined here at the tactical level. Quality management. Risks. What about risk? Right? Risk associated with the delivery of the service. Let's say if you are a manufacturing company, right? And your company, right, is located in an area which, is frequently plagued by blackouts. So there's a risk. That is a risk. That particular location, right, is often, plagued by blackouts, right? So what are we going to do about that? So that it wouldn't disrupt the operations of our company. So you have to think about that. So that is where risk management comes in, right? Okay, that's one example. Okay, what about value management, right? What do we need to do? Well, we have a new strategy, right? UTM wants to be a world-class university. So what are we going to do? What are we going to do about our current facilities? Because our current facilities are not able to support our vision, right? So what are we going to do? Are we going to build new buildings? Are we going to renovate our existing building? Are we going to buy another building and refurbish it so that it becomes suitable, for us to conduct our teaching and learning activities? What are we going to do? That is value management, right? That is value management, right? And financial management as well, right? It's very clear. We need to manage our financial resources. We have capital. What else? What do we need? Do we need extra capital? Do we need extra financial resources? Right? So that is where financial management takes place, right? So quality management, risk management, value management, financial management falls under the tactical level of management. And operations, like I said, that is where we execute, right? We run maintenance. Of course, under maintenance, there will be maintenance management, right? And things like that. Okay, hold on. This person has been calling me twice now. Hold on. Hello? Hello? All right. Okay. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, let's continue. Right? So 3 levels of management: strategic, tactical, and operational, right? So the 3 levels of management, or what we call as a management hierarchy. Okay, right? Okay, I hope you're clear on that. Okay, so now let's combine now the 2 words, facilities and management, right? So now let's combine them, right? Investment, Sam. What are you referring to? Investment?
No, just now the mention if the company have extra financial and capital. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Perhaps you can look for, investment opportunities, right? Or perhaps establish a partnership, right? Okay, that would be part of it. How do we realize our strategy through tactical means, right?
Right.
Okay. All right. Okay. So now let's look at the definition of FM, right? I've listed down 4 definitions for you, right? Basically, when you talk about FM, okay, there are 3 major references, right? Okay, there are 3 major references. What I mean is there are 3 major or main institutions that we usually refer to. Okay, we have the IWFM, which is the Institute of Workplace and Facilities Management. Now, previously, right, it was known as BIFM, the British Institute of Facilities Management. Right, the British Institute of Facilities Management. I still call it BIFM. I'm already used to it, right? But they have a new name now. Okay, IWFM. Okay, and previously it's not our faculty, not FABU. When we were still Fakulti Alam Bina and Fakulti Geoinformasi and Harta Tanah, right? Okay, at that time, okay, before we merged, right? Okay, the Department of Real Estate, Fakulti Geoinformasi and Harta Tanah, right, was the first center. We established the first BIFM Center for Training in Asia, right? I think that was back in 2014. If I'm not mistaken, it was 2014. Yeah, 2014. I was the director of the UTM BIFM Center. Okay, so we provide BIFM trainings, okay, for students, whether the current students or people from the outside. Okay, they want to follow a BIFM program, right? Their certification from level 2 to level 7, right? But it was very costly. I think per student it was like 25,000, right, per program. Okay, a 2-year program, right? So yeah, we form a partnership with BIFM at that time, okay, right? But now no more, okay. So BIFM was known as one of the foremost institutions for facilities management. Okay, still is, right? Still is, right? But now they've changed their name to IWFM, and IWFM or BIFM, okay, defines facilities management as the integration. That is the number one keyword. The integration of multidisciplinary activities within the built environment and the management of their impact upon people and the workplace, right? The first one is this: integration and multidisciplinary activities. Integration of multidisciplinary activities. Two most important keywords here, right? Now, my teacher or my lecturer, okay, my teacher or my lecturer, when I first learned about facilities management, told me that in order for someone to become a facilities manager, you will have to study for 25 years. Well, of course, she does not mean that, okay? Right? What she meant was FM is so wide, right? It is so wide that in order for you to become a facilities manager, it is as if you have to you have to study for 25 years. Because you see, a facilities manager would need to know everything about the facilities that they are managing for the organization. Okay, let's take for example. Okay, let's take for example a restaurant, right? Okay, a restaurant or a zoo, right? Okay, remember, right? The facilities there, right, encompasses everything. Okay, if you look at it carefully, it encompasses architecture, it involves landscape architecture, it involves understanding on human behavior, understanding about animals, understanding about mechanical and electricity. You need to understand about engineering, you need to understand about business, right? You need to understand about almost everything, right? So facilities management is very wide, okay? Right? So which is why IWFM says FM is the integration of multidisciplinary activities. Right? A facilities manager needs to understand, right? Needs to understand, right, various disciplines. Right? If you are managing a building, for example, right? Okay, an FM is, let's say, managing a building, an office building. Okay, he needs to understand about architecture. He needs to understand about building design. He needs to understand about interior design. He needs to understand about building materials. He needs to understand about building structure, right? He needs to understand about maintenance. He needs to understand about climate, right? Microclimate, which is the climate inside the building. He needs to understand about mechanical and electrical. He needs to understand about IT, right? He needs to understand about people, the psychology of people, the biology of people. He needs to understand about economics. He needs to understand about anthropometrics. He needs to understand about the business, the work process, the activities, everything, right? Managing a car park, for example. A facilities manager needs to understand about cars. They need to understand about material use, to construct, the car park, the road. He needs to understand about the trees planted in the car park. Landscape architects would usually design the landscape. They would specify, okay, we are going to plant this and this and this and this tree, right? Usually for a car park, a landscape architect perhaps will specify trees like Cinnamomum inus, perhaps, right? I know that we have Introlobium samans, okay, in UTM in our car park, right? We have closely situated next to our car park, we have like Ficus benjamina, we have Tabubuea pentaphylla, right? Okay, we have all those kind of trees, right, in our car park. Right, those are, by the way, botanical names or scientific names of the trees, right? And a facilities manager needs to know that. Why? Why? Is it not enough for the landscape architect to know that? No, it's not enough. Why? You see, when the landscape architect designs, okay, the landscape, right, let's say for a car park, they would choose what kind of tree? Trees which are bushy, can provide shade, and looks beautiful, right? Okay. But they tend to forget one thing. Okay, I'm not criticizing anybody, right? Everybody has a role to play, right? I'm not criticizing landscape architects or whatever. I'm not criticizing, right? Okay, but we need to understand, okay, from looking at a different point of view, okay? So when the landscape architects design the landscape and specify the trees, they look for bushy trees, shady trees, and trees like that, and beautiful ones. Unfortunately, most of these bushy trees and shady trees, like Antholobium samans, which are very big, by the way, right? Cinnamomum inus or Tabubuea pentaphylla is another one, it's very, very big, right? They tend to be deciduous trees, trees which shed their leaves. So you may have many dried leaves on the road, on the cars. So when there are many dried leaves at the car park, what do you need to do? You need to clean them. You need to clean up, remove the dried leaves. And that would increase the cost of maintenance, landscape maintenance, and cleaning as well. Unnecessary cost. See? So which is why if a facilities manager does not understand these kind of things, they will not be able to advise the landscape architect, please do not plant deciduous trees. We want to cut costs. We want to cut maintenance costs. So please do not, right? Avoid specifying deciduous trees. Pick for us trees that are easily, easy to maintain and does not cost much fuss in terms of cleaning. The FM's job is to advise the landscape architect in this case. FMs do not design. Remember that. FMs do not design buildings. FMs do not design landscapes. They do not design furniture, but they know what kind of landscape, what kind of building, what kind of furniture needed in the organization, because they are the ones who are managing the facilities required by the organization. So their job here is to give advice. So in order for them to give advice, they must at least have a certain level of knowledge about these different fields. So which is why FM is the integration of multidisciplinary activities. FMs need to understand about contracts, not just you guys, the QSs. FMs need to understand about contracts, needs to understand about service level agreements, right? Why? Because the decision to outsource, for example, cleaning, we want to outsource cleaning to a cleaning contractor, right? The decision to outsource comes from the facilities management team, the facilities manager, right? And they will have to come up with the contract with the with the service provider, right? So usually there'll be a legal advisor as part of the FM team to draw up the contract, right? So you have to know everything on the surface, not too shallow, but of course not too deep, right? Okay, but at least a certain level. A facilities manager is like in English what we call as a jack of all trades, right? A jack of all trades. Oh, is it trades? The other trades, right? See, you know about everything within the built environment. Okay, within the built environment, man-made environment, and the management of their impact upon people and the workplace. How does the built environment, the workplace, or should say the workplace, right, gives an impact towards the people as well as the work process, right? In other words, one of the major goals of FM is to create. This is not in the note, by the way, so write it down if you want to, right? Create the most conducive working environment. Okay, to create the most conducive working environment, right? Or work environment, right? Okay, so that is the goal of FM, to create the most conducive work environment. Okay, right? So that is the first definition by IWFM. The second definition by IWFM as well, right, is FM is the practice of coordinating, that's the key word there, the physical workspace with the people, physical workspace, people, and work. Okay, integrating the principles of business administration, architecture, behavioral, and engineering sciences, right? The practice of coordinating. You see, if you look back, right, at this level, the operational level, this is where the FM will function the most, right? Okay, of course, FM is involved here, but it's not every day you produce strategic plans. It's not every day you produce action plans. It's not every day, right? you need to, involve in quality management or risk management, right? You do it once or twice and that's it. But this is where the operation level, this is where the routine takes place, right? Everyday work, right? So as you know, FM involves in almost everything, right? Almost everything, right? Right. So from maintenance issues, leaks, what else? Blackouts, perhaps problem with the wiring. Those are the physical ones. Landscape maintenance, right? Problems with what else? The toilet, plumbing, right? Toilet papers, right? Finish. The toilets are out of toilet papers. Even up to that, right? The FM team will have to deal with. So there are so many things that the FM needs to do every single day, right? So it is very important for the FM team to be able to coordinate, right, the work required, okay, for the physical workspace, right? It's not an easy job. Being a facilities manager is not an easy task, right? FM is not an easy task. It's not easy for someone to become a facilities manager. It's tiring. Sometimes, let's say for a factory, perhaps, suddenly there's a problem, right? Blackouts or, I don't know, something, right? Okay. At night, in the middle of the night, and the FM will have to come, right, and solve the problem. I remembered once, okay, when the newly built CIQ building, our CIQ building in Johor Bahru, right? Okay, it was still new back then, a few years back, right? And I still remember, okay, because the facilities manager, I know this facilities manager of the CIQ building, and then one night, okay, there was a problem. You see, the next morning, somewhere around 8:30, right, the Sultan of Johor, okay, was supposed to come and give a visit, right? Okay, the Sultan of Johor was supposed to visit the new CIQ building the next morning, And suddenly, somewhere around 3 o'clock in the morning, right, the water tank burst and it flooded the whole staircase area, right? Whole staircase area, including the foyer and everything, right? It was a total mess at 3 o'clock in the morning. The Sultan was supposed to come somewhere around 8:30, right? So the FM team had to go there at 3 o'clock in the morning, right, and solve the problem before the Sultan arrives, right? Emergencies like that, FM needs to be on call like a doctor. Some say FM is like a building doctor, right? Some say FM is like a building doctor, right? We need to be on call. Okay, so I imagine that it's not an easy job. Okay, it's not an easy job. Yeah, it's going to be tiring. Okay, you have to deal with all of these issues with the workplace every single day, right? Right? That is the routine one, okay? Apart from the ones that you sometimes do at the strategic level and the tactical level. Okay, so you need to coordinate, right, the physical workspace with people. Remember, a building, right? Okay, a building, right, is occupied by people. The workers, the visitors, the maintenance workers, right? People, right? Okay, so you have to make sure that the workplace, right, is suitable for the people. That's the most important thing, right? And the work as well, the activities that go on, right, or take place inside that particular premise, right? What kind of work? What is the work process? You make sure that the premise or the building, right, or the space is able to accommodate whatever activities that are going on. How? By integrating the principles of business administration. FM needs to understand the business of the organization. Needs to understand things like finance, economy, things like that. Okay, you need to understand about business. You need to understand about architecture, right? You need to understand about design. Not just architecture in the sense of building design, but you need to also understand about interior design. You need to understand about furniture design, those kind of things, right? You need to understand that. You need to understand color, for example, the impact of color towards the people, right? For example, let's say the color blue, right? Studies have shown that the color blue, right, gives a positive impact for students to study. They tend to be more focused, right? So if you want your students to be focused, then make sure that your lecture rooms are painted blue, right? So that is the FM's job there, right? FM needs to understand those things. And behavior, right? And you need to understand about human behavior. You need to understand about psychology. You need to understand about cognitive. You need to understand about psychomotors, right? Everything associated with a human being. How do humans interact with one another? You will see, I will give you an example in our future class. You will see a problem that happened with Toyota, right? Toyota, the car maker, the car company, right? Okay, Toyota Malaysia did a very costly mistake, okay, with the layout of their office, which caused their staff to be stressed, right? And quite a lot of them, resigned, right? Because of the layout of the office. It causes stress for the workers, right? So FM needs to understand about behavior, about psychology of those things. And of course,